Welcome back to the Biotopes. Thanks so much for joining me back here in the fish room. For those of you new to the channel, this is a Biotope gallery fish room. I built this entire thing from scratch. I'll put some links to some videos up above, so if you want to see that build and how this room all came together, I'd love for you to do that. So for today, I've got some updates. By request, I've got update on the resurrection jars. I've got mine that I put together in a gallon jar, and then my daughter's in something a little bit smaller, so we'll get you an update on both of those. And we're going to get an update on this upper Amazon, Solomos River. It's in Peru. This biotope here, as you might see here, I've got a little bit of updates and some work to do on this, so we'll get you updated on those things, and we'll even feed this tank for you. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get ready to go. Okay, everybody, so this is the Solomos River in the upper Amazon in Peru. This is the biotope here. I've got 6 silver angels, 4 black skirt tetras, probably 15 or 16 Aeneas cories, and 1 male bushy nose, Ancestris pleco. So a few things we've got going on. Just right away, I've got one of the branches fell off here on this piece of wood. This wood is probably made up of 7 different sticks and branches that I glued together. I got a piece that fell off here. So it's really fine. I don't know that I need to move it right now. It's just what would happen in the Amazon. Next big thing you can tell here is that I've got this enormous Amazon sword. I picked this up today. And this sucker is huge. It's exactly what I'm looking for. for this side of the tank, kind of the bank of the river. I've got some other swords in here that I'm having a hard time going to get them growing real fast, but we're going to add this in. The problem is it is enormous. I'm going to have to trim off some of the roots, trim off some of the leaves on here, rework this mound area to get it to fit in that. So that's kind of all what's in store here today. First off, we're going to feed, and you guys can see this. And what I'm going to feed here is the Aquarium Co-op freeze-dried Tubifex cubes. These are fantastic. Decided to try these out, and the cool thing about these ones is that they stick to the side of the tank, and the brine trip cubes don't stick as well, but these Tubifex worms really do great. So let's do that. Just put it here on the inside glass, give it a push, get some of the air out. You can see they're already pecking at it before I can get my hand out of the tank. And you can see, sorry for the glare everybody, but they absolutely love it. And as I said, these stick to the tank real well, these Tubifex worms do. The freeze-dried brine shrimp don't stick that well. They stick for a second or two, but often kind of fall apart and float. And I mean, obviously the fish will eat them and really enjoy them. But the composition of the Tubifex worms really causes them to stick well onto the glass. I've got 3 males and 3 females in here, just by luck. And I have gotten eggs from time to time in this tank. So they really seem to have paired off into 3 separate pairs for the most part. You can see everybody loves these Tubifex worms. Even the Corys try to get in there before they fall. And they'll peck at this thing for quite a while. So yeah, so as they're going to town on that guy, I guess I really need to figure something out with this sword. I suppose here's the steps. 1, I gotta get it out of the tank and trim out all the kind of dead leaves. There's some blackbird algae and some leaves that are got some holes, so we'll try to get rid of some of those. Trim up the roots a little bit just so it fits in the substrate. I'm going to have to kind of remound some of this gravel and sand back up the hill here, and then hopefully find a spot that's deep enough, because the problem is I've got a rock on the bottom and then a couple bags of gravel. In hindsight, I don't know that I would have done that, because what happens now is really doesn't leave a whole lot of room for the sword roots to kind of work way through, I think, just because that gravel and that sand kind of runs down. You can see here I've got this rock here and some caves and stuff to try to keep it up, and even you can see there's like a composite kind of leveler, like wedge, that I broke and tried to put in there to keep stuff from falling down, but it doesn't really work all that well. So I'm gonna have to get in there and kind of start going through that, and yeah, we'll take you on the ride for it. So stay tuned. You can see these guys are still chomping away at those freeze-dried Tubifex. Everybody's loving it. So, okay, let's get working on this sword plant. Okay, so let's get this sword out of the tank. I mean, this thing is enormous. It's gotta be more than 2 feet tall, I'd say. I've got frog bit hanging all over it now. But there's plenty of that to go around. There it is. Let me see if I can get some light on there for you. Okay. Does this work? Okay, hopefully you guys can see that okay. But this is a Big Daddy sword. So I think what I'm going to do first is try to just trim off. There's some Java moss. Got this from a fish store down in the Columbus area called Rivers to Reefs. Really nice store. They've been around, I guess, for about 9 years. But really great store. A lot of cool fish there. So this is just a huge mass of roots, and I want to try to trim some of this off. Try to get this to a good spot here. But I mean, you can just see the absolute, just crazy, man, how big this thing is. So I'm just going to trim some of this back. I don't know if that's going to be enough, but we'll see. And then what I want to do is start taking some of these leaves off that are a little bit rough. I'm not even sure how to do this yet, because it's just so big. What you do with swords, you can just kind of pull up the stems at the base. It's just snap right off. And I don't want to take everything off of this, but I do want to get a decent amount. Alright, so my mic gave out, so I'm going to try to do this without a mic. If I need a voiceover, I will. But so what we're going to do is we're going to work on this left side of this tank and try to work some of the substrate back up there, make it deeper, and then get that sword planted in there without too much of a disruption. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a tool here, an escaping tool. And move this lid out of the way. And I know we're going to make a mess, so I'm just going to try to get this as clear for you as I can. Hopefully you guys can see this and kind of follow along. But I'm just going to try to work this up with my pleco right here. Come on, buddy. It's supposed to hang out, I guess. And I'm going to work some of this back up the hill. A big part of that right here is a DIY pleco cave that keeps getting buried. So, just trying to get this cleaned out. We have some of these other stories. This is supposed to be really gravel capped in sand, and any of you that have done this before realizes that that sand kind of works back down through kind of the substrate. So lose some of that look that I started with. But if I can get this big sword planted deep enough, it'll hide a lot of this and hopefully, create some erosion management, kind of a barrier to the rest of this. See some of these bubbles coming up, some of the anoxic filter layer, a lot of organics in the water here, which is fine. There's lots of filtration. This is 2 75-gallon tanks plumbed to a 10-gallon sump. So lots of filtration. I'm sure the Corys are going to love digging through this. Okay, let's pull this guy over, see what we can figure out here. Oh, goodness gracious. It's immense. The other swords are going to have a hard time. But this is what I wanted from the get-go, is this huge planted area out here, mimicking that, river bank. I've got these big bags in here. I'm just a little bit concerned I'm not going to be able to get down in there enough. So if I can get some of these what's down in there. There we go. Actually, you don't want to plant Amazon swords that deep. You want kind of the crown exposed. And I mean, this is And this is a 75-gallon tank, so it's relatively deep, although I do have this kind of mounded up. And it is just a fantastic species specimen. And what will happen is the cores will kind of work through the substrate and actually smooth it out over time. It just looks better once they kind of get in there and start moving stuff around. I'd like to hide this rock best I can. So I'm going to kind of move to this gravel a little bit to this side. Because in this part of the Amazon River, there isn't a lot of rocks. It is upriver. It is kind of the upper reaches, really northern reaches in Peru, almost the Rio Nene in that area. I'll show you guys a map here at some point. But, yeah. And that is just so great. It's sticking out. I mean, it is. I'm trying to step back here and see what I can see. It's pretty murky, obviously, but and that is so great. It's gonna look so good. Once that water kind of clears up, I think tomorrow what I'll do is get you guys a look at this. And once we do that, I can give you kind of a better update of this tank once this water kind of settles. Let me grab this camera. You can see here, just coming out of the water, all that frog bit. I got this pothos I'm trying to get going, but I mean, that is just phenomenal. And I do put root tabs in there pretty regularly. We'll have to put a bunch. But you can see just huge. Really interested to see how this goes over time. So, really fantastic. I'll get, I don't know what I want to do about putting tops on there because it looks really good without a top, but really want tops. I don't want fish jumping out. I want to kind of manage my temperature. This room isn't heated, or it is insulated, but these tanks really aren't heated. They are really heated by the pumps. The pumps that run, 2 pumps run the sump, 1 to each 75, and really those are like, 2 50-watt heaters. Those 2 guys down there. So that's enough to heat the tanks. So let's get the top on there, and like I said, once this settles down, I will give you guys an update and we'll look further into this tank. Well, we'll show you, here's the map of the area we're talking about. So here is the Amazon River here through Brazil. And then here's Peru and Colombia. And just past this area here, you've got the Napo River and Iquitos, and like right in here is that upper reaches of the Amazon, or what's called the Solomos. And as it comes in Peru, then it starts heading south. So That's the spot we're talking about in this tank. So, all right, lights are going to go off here, so I'll give you guys an update once this clears off. All right, we're back here in the Biotope gallery, and this is my upper Amazon River in Peru. It is kind of the northern part of the Amazon stretches of Peru. So what I've got in here, it's a 75 gallon. The substrate is gravel and sand. And I've got 6 of these silver angels. I've got, again, 4 black skirt tetras and about 15 or 16 Aeneas cories, and 1 male bristlenose ancestris pleco. And the plants in here are Amazon swords and some frogbit for floating plants. This wood structure here, that main piece kind of angling to the left, is anchored down with kind of a cement sand mixture. And then this wood structure kind of going up into the back is really like probably 6 or 7 different pieces of wood glued together. I do have some pothos I'm trying to grow in here. You can see kind of above the tank there. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, this tank's doing really, really well. Feed it decap brine shrimp, bug bites, small pellets. I like the freeze-dried tubivex worms from Aquarium Co-op. So I'll do frozen brine shrimp as well. And so yeah, the tank's really come along great. It is plumbed together on another 75 right above it, and then a 10-gallon sump below, kind of a DIY trickle filter, and it pulls through some media, and then it returns to the tank. And yeah, as you can see, that sword is really doing great. I'm excited to see how it does. Keeping that substrate up on that bank area, and just the hides and just really intriguing specimen that it brings to this biotope, this aquarium. So I've got some leaf litter in here and sticks. I for I'll do a 10% water change probably every 3 weeks or so, and really low nitrates. No heater in the tank. It runs off really the 2 pumps down here, and those pumps are essentially 50-watt heaters. The room isn't heated either, although I do have a dehumidifier that does put off a little bit of heat. It is insulated, the room. I do have some other heaters in some of the other tanks, the quarantine tanks, and those grow-out tanks. I've got some heaters, so that kind of helps heat the room as well. This room, it's November, it's 70 degrees in here, so maintains pretty good temperature. Yeah, that's about it for this tank. It's a lot of fun to keep. It's really progressed really well over time, and these angels are growing up great. Probably have 3 pair in here, 3 males and 3 females. And I think eventually I might mix out the black skirts for something else, but yeah, really, really cool tank. Really enjoyed it. Got these pleco caves. This is a DIY here, pleco cave, and I've got 2 in the back that are underwater galleries. They're caves, so I kind of stuck those into the riverbank. That's very much how plecos like to kind of burrow into the riverbank in the wild. So let me get you guys some close-ups. You can see they love picking at this new sword. I'll get you guys some close-ups of the tank, and really enjoyed you guys coming in for a visit. And please be sure to like, subscribe. We're really pushing pushing 400 subs. I think we're at 357, 358 when this is filmed. So I really appreciate if you can help me get to 400. I think that'd be awesome. So thanks so much. Be sure you stop back again for more updates on other Biotope aquariums here in the Biotopes.